So today's video is going to be all about the set position and how you can avoid making a key mistake that many intermediate archers make. Now this mistake makes it really hard to set the grip and the hook properly, and then this makes it really hard to get the shoulders in the correct position and connect the rest of the shot. So we want to avoid this mistake, and then I'm going to show you later on in the video how to remedy this and some possible solutions. So make sure you watch to the end for that. And then before we get started, I'm going to give you a couple of main options in the end to remedy this and ways that you can achieve a better set position. I want you to let me know in the comments below which of these options you find works better for you, and crucially why you think it works better for you. There isn't a right or wrong answer here, but I just want to get your opinion and see how this video is helping you to achieve a better set position and then execute the rest of your shot more cleanly as well. So let me know in the comments below for that. So what is the mistake? The mistake is trying to get your set position with the bow on the long rod like this. And I'll show you an example of this. Someone might put the arrow in the bow and then they keep the bow on the long rod and then they try and get the set position here with the hook and the grip, and then they go from there, lift the bow and then raise and draw. So I don't know if you can see that very easily yet on the video, but the key point of this is that when the bow is in this position, it's extremely hard to set the grip and the hook and get the balance in your shot and get the correct shoulder position. If you imagine your bow at full draw is horizontal in terms of the long rod is horizontal here, and you know your two hands are obviously in a horizontal line almost. That is where you've got the balance and the feeling of connection, and you've set that all up. So if you try and set that very far from horizontal, i.e. pretty much vertical this way, in terms of the long rod is now vertical here, if you're trying to set the balance here to then set it up for your shot when it's completely 90 degrees the other way, it's super hard to do this. What you can also see there is when I'm in this position with the bow on the long rod, it's extremely hard to set my fingers on the string without increasing the height of this shoulder, hunching over and using the upper traps and the neck. So watch this. As soon as I go there, I'm not particularly trying to, but it's just encouraging this shoulder to really creep up and increase the risk that when you then draw the bow, you're more likely to get an injury and maybe develop some shoulder niggles here and just not able to draw the bow in a smooth way. Also, with this mistake, it's much more likely that you're going to lose your posture, because it's harder to have the bow on the long rod and set this hand and the grip with the posture being kept. It's much more likely that you're going to lose the posture, and then when you draw you're going to lose it the other way and move around, which we don't want at all. So these are the key things that it makes really hard when you put the bow on the long rod. Now it's not necessarily a problem just putting the bow on the long rod to put the arrow in and then putting it to a different position, but even doing this, it can affect, if you just put the arrow in here, it is raising this shoulder, and just in a patterning type of way, it's just encouraging you in that position, so then when you shoot, it could be more likely. It's not necessarily for everyone, but for some people, I would recommend not even putting the arrow in. Ideally, you wouldn't be in that position at all. If you find it helps you to put the arrow in and then move to another position, that's fine. But never set your set position with your hook and your grip in that position, because it just destroys your posture, your shoulder position, it hunches you over, and it means that the rest of the shot won't be as balanced. So the key point here is, how do we then improve this set position and find a way without resting the bow on the long rod? So there are two main options here. The first one is the bow on the foot like this, and the second one is the bow on the leg like this. And these two options are not specific to an individual person. It's not that one person must always shoot this way. It's not that everyone should shoot with the bow on the foot, everyone should shoot with the bow on the leg. It is individual, and it depends on a few things in your shot and how you find it helps you in your shot. So we'll go over those key points now. As a general rule, the bow on the foot is more suited to a square stance, and the reason for that is that if you want the bow on the leg here, it tends to move the bow slightly to the right of your body, because obviously the left leg is blocking. If you have a square stance and you rest the bow on your right leg, if this is for a right-handed archer, then the bow is being blocked by the left leg, whereas if you have an open stance, then the bow will not be so far to the right of the target. So the bow on the leg is generally more suited to an open stance, and the bow on the foot is generally more suited to a square stance. Some other benefits of having the bow on the foot is that it's less fatiguing in terms of you don't have to hold the bow, and it can be a little bit easier waiting for the wind while you're shooting. So if it's a very windy day, you can have everything ready to go, waiting for the wind, and then quickly raise up and shoot when the wind drops. With the bow on the leg, it can be a little bit harder in terms of you're holding the bow a bit longer. So this is something to consider as well, but this is individual and it depends on other areas of your shot, such as posture. So with the posture, you want to make sure that your set position encourages you to have good posture, good core, and keep this connection through to the shoulders as well. So I'll explain that a bit more now. So if you do put the bow on your foot, you need to make sure that when you then move to put your hook on the string and get into your set position, that you don't hunch over and compromise your posture and your shoulders like this. You don't want to hunch over like this and compromise everything, because that's exactly what we didn't want to do with the long rod on the floor. You want to make sure that you're still standing up and straight, your core is engaged, your shoulders are in a good position, and you simply just move the hand to the string like this. You don't want that. You just want to be in a nice neutral position and the hand on the string, and you don't need to set both hands exactly with the bow on the foot. You set them roughly. The bow is only in the V of the grip here. It's not fully set in the grip. Set them roughly, and then you can lift to an intermediate position here and then go up and lift. So that's a really good way to use the bow on the foot. And then likewise, if you have more of an open stance and you have the bow on the leg, it's really important to find a position on the leg that rests a lot of the weight of the bow, so you don't have to hold it and it's not pulling your arm down. And then when you then set your hook on the string, in the same way, you want to make sure you're not hunched over, you want to make sure the shoulder's nice and relaxed, and you want to make sure that the bow isn't too far to the right of the target and it's compromising how you then raise the bow and then open the bow. So these are some key points here, and it's always key to remember that the posture is king, and the posture will help you get good shoulder positioning, and it will help you move the shoulders in the right way. If you lose your posture and you're overly hunched, then your shoulders will be rolled forwards and you won't be able to get a good movement later on in the shot. So always remember that the posture is really important to keep your shoulder movement, and that's really, really key. So another great way to improve your set position, and this has been proven in lots of different studies, is just to lightly tap that like button down there, and this will help you learn this more quickly. There's some new technology, so I won't go into the full details, but trust me on this one, it really, really does help. Now, when you're at the set position, it's all about connecting the front of your shot. And what I mean by that is feeling the connection between your bow hand and your draw hand through to your wrist and your elbow and then through to your back. So there's no point in improving your set position with the bow in terms of taking it off the long rod if you then just have the set position here, just loosely place the fingers on the string and then just draw up. You need to have a deliberate point where you, for me, I have the bow on the foot, where you then raise it, or if you have it on the leg, that's fine. You have it there, and you have a slight point where you connect the front side of your shot here, and then you must maintain that connection as you raise the bow, as you draw the bow, and as you come into anchor. So this is really, really important. You don't want to come here, set the grip, and then draw, and then just be moving around and everything like that. You want to set this connection here, and then when you've set that connection and you feel that balance through the front of your shot, when you then lift the bow, you want to maintain that in a nice synchronized way, and you draw and come down. So it's really important to make sure that when you then go from your set to raise the bow and draw, that you're synchronized on both sides of the shot and you're keeping that connection and that balance, rather than just setting the hands and having every part of your shot in your hands effectively here, and then just lifting the bow wildly and being disconnected. So that's a really key point there to remember, and it will take time to ingrain, but it will make it much easier to get to anchor, get to real full draw, and then expand in the same way every time. So I'm going to give you 3 key ways here that you can improve this set position and really learn it really fast as well. So the first way is the set position repeats drill, and I'll put a link to that up there. And this is just a really simple drill. It's exactly what it sounds like. Bow on the foot or on the leg, that's fine. And you just basically repeat your set position. So for me, from the leg here, I would just go from here to the set position, feel that connection, and then back down. And then just repeat that. The benefit of this is it allows you to do hundreds and hundreds of your set position repeats and ingrain that in your muscle memory without fatiguing yourself by having to shoot 400 or 500 arrows. So you can learn the set position much more quickly without having the fatigue and maybe being limited by how many arrows you can shoot. So that's a really, really good way to do it. The second way you can do it is with a band, and you simply, without the bow, and you can do it without the band as well, you can do it with empty hands with no band, just simply going to the set position in terms of with the band here, and then coming up and going back to the set position. And if you find that you can't get the same set position, or you don't know where your hands should be, or the feeling of your shoulders, if you find you can't get that with the band, then it means you haven't learnt it enough. So this is a really good way of testing your knowledge effectively and your muscle memory of where it should be, because if it's too hard with the band and you're over here and you're over here, then it means you don't know where it should be. So this is a great way to check and really test yourself and see, actually, do I really know where it should be and have I learnt this properly? Now finally, another great way to test the set position, and this is a slightly more advanced drill, and maybe if you're more involved in doing competitions and stuff like that, is a on-off shooting line drill. So this might be something where maybe you would shoot 6 arrows in an end, but you would come onto the shooting line, shoot 1 arrow, walk off the shooting line, come back onto the shooting line, shoot 1 arrow, walk off. So you're coming off the line every arrow, and you're having to reset every time you go onto the line. You're going through every stage in terms of setting your stance, getting the bow, putting the arrow in, getting a set position, and it's just testing you because there's a few more things that you have to focus on and a few more moving parts to the shot, resetting your stance, checking where it is in terms of the target. So this is a great way to test this and improve that set position as well. And it's also good just in terms of testing your ability to stand in the same place with your stance, reset your shot, review your shot when you're off the line and stuff like that. So it's a great drill for those as well, but it can help the set position too. So I hope that's been a useful video in terms of giving a bit more detail on the set position and how you can improve this. As I said before, let me know in the comments below as to which of the options I provided you find works best for you and why it works best for you as well. As always, you can find us on social media, and I'll put the links to those below, and make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I don't know why you wouldn't have subscribed yet, but anyway, it's just down there. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.